welcome you and thank you for being here today. And this is the holiday season. This is a season where we go and we visit and we do many things. As I said, many of our friends and our members and friends are visiting relatives and friends in various parts of the country. And that's beautiful. We're celebrating what we call the New Year. And it's what I've titled our lesson, A New Beginning. And man has really set up these, I often think, you know, how man gets us during the course of the year. First of all, there's New Year's. Okay, we have a party, you know, we got to go out and buy a lot of stuff. And then here comes Valentine's Day. And we got to go buy some chocolates and some stuff like that. And then maybe the presidents, Jefferson and Lincoln, we do a little barbecuing. Then they give us a breather, and then here comes Easter. And we got to take care of the children and with some new clothes and everything. And then after a while, here comes Mother's Day. And that's a beautiful day. And then Father's Day. And then Memorial Day. We got to buy some ribs and barbecue. And then here comes the 4th of July. And we got another celebration. And then they give us a little breathe until Labor Day. And then some more ribs and smoke. And then Veterans Day. And then Halloween, we got to go buy some costumes and false faces and stuff. And then Thanksgiving and some turkey and ham and potato salad. And candied yams and black-eyed peas. And then Christmas. And we got to they really get us Christmas. We got to run out there. And so it's like a whole year. Then so just all of these holidays are holidays that man has set up for us. And they're beautiful in a sense, you know. We don't get too carried away with them. If we really understand the true meaning and the true purpose, that they are just here and they come all during the course of the year. As I always say, as reminders. They should remind us of a state of being. And so this coming year, there is in truth, no such thing as a new year, because the universe knows nothing about January the 1st, nor does it, you know, it's just the same, it's always being the same. But these are holidays, and these are times that we've set aside. Man has done this, and it's good, it's beautiful to celebrate it, if we just really are careful and recognize and realize their purpose. And so that's why I chose for the new year a lesson called A New Beginning. This gives us an opportunity to begin anew and to affirm and to recognize the truth of our being and to lift ourselves to a place where we begin to see life from a standpoint of beauty. For most of us, life is ugly. It's a battle. It's a struggle. And oftentimes it seems to be against all odds. And yet, the truth is, we must begin to see life anew and recognize that life is now, always has been, always will be beautiful. It is always our perception of it that makes it beautiful or not so beautiful. I'm reminded of a story about Cyrano de Bergerac. And Cyrano de Bergerac, it's a beautiful play. And in this play, there was this so-called, as man calls people, man categorizes man. There are some handsome and beautiful and pretty people, and there's some sort of in between. And then there are some that are not so beautiful and pretty. And that's all man's concept. And in the eyes of God, we're all beautiful. And we must see ourselves in that manner. However, in this beautiful play, Cyrano de Bergerac, there was this handsome, if you will, so-called handsome soldier. Man calls him handsome and categorizes him as such. And so this handsome soldier was in love with this beautiful lady. And in the evenings, he would go and court her and stand underneath her window. She lived in this building on the second floor, and he would stand out under this sort of dark, shadowy light where she could just see him. But he, in truth, was lacking in self-confidence, this handsome soldier, and he was lacking in faith in himself. When Cyrano de Bergerac, who was thought of by man as not being such a handsome person, but he had this inner beauty. He had this something about him. He had a way with words, and he spoke beautifully. And so the handsome soldier hired Cyrano de Bergerac to stand behind the brush in the darkness and speak to his lady as though it was the soldier who was speaking. And Cyrano de Bergerac could rap. He was bad. And he'd say all of these beautiful, sweet, lovely, awesome things to the lady, and she was in love. And toward the end of the story, she discovered in truth that it was not the so-called handsome soldier who was speaking these sweet nothings to her, but in truth it was Cyrano de Bergerac. And because of the depth of his beauty and the depth of his soul, she was in love with Cyrano de Bergerac. She loved him for what he was. She loved him for the beauty that he expressed from within himself. And so each of us should take a moment to begin to, regardless of how we see ourselves, regardless of how we think about ourselves, we should begin anew to see ourselves, to see the beauty that is within us and allow it to be expressed in every single way. I was watching a channel the other evening. By the way, I've begun to watch a little TV again. Selected shows. And I was watching a show on mountain climbers. And it was beautiful to see and to hear these people talk. They were challenging some of the tallest mountains on the planet Earth. And they would slip and slide and hook, and the sides of the mountains were straight up, and they were thousands and thousands of feet, and it was icy and slippery, and they were being challenged in a multitude of ways. And eventually, and at night, they would have to sleep and create places in the snow and the ice where they slept, and they were fatigued, and they were truly challenged in many, many ways. But eventually, after days and days and weeks of climbing, they finally, when they got to the top of the mountain, they were ecstatic. And they did all of this, they endured all of this pain, and they went through all of this physical misery for one purpose: to see the beauty, the awesome beauty that was stretched out before them. To see the beauty from that height, from thousands and thousands and thousands of feet above. And they all said that they did it for the purpose of challenging themselves and conquering the mountain. And then the ultimate experience was the feeling that they got from what they saw, the beauty that was below them. And so, you know, I've come to realize that for me, Science of Mind does that. This teaching has taught me how beautiful life really is. There were times in my life when I thought it wasn't so beautiful because of some of the experiences that I've had. But science of mind affirms for me that life is truly beautiful. This great teaching has opened, if you will, the windows and the doors of my soul. It has opened my eyes that this is a world of beauty because it's filled with the presence of God. This world is beautiful. I am beautiful. Everything in it is beautiful simply because I stand at the summit, I stand at the mountaintop of life, and as I look out and view it, it's beautiful because it's filled with the presence of God. And each of us must come to a place in our living where we too can say that I am Cyrano de Bergerac, and the words I speak are beautiful about everyone and about myself, and I stand on the mountaintop. And as I look out and view my life and everything in it, I can say honestly and truly to myself that it's beautiful. Our minds must be set on beauty. We must recognize beauty right where we are. That's why Dr. Ernest Holmes said, there is not a spot where God is not. And if God's not beautiful, then please tell me what is. Jesus saw beauty. That was the secret of the man. Jesus saw beauty wherever he looked. He was incapable of seeing anything other than beauty because he was looking through the eyes of God. Or the eyes of God were looking, if you will, through Jesus. That was not a spot, a place where Jesus thought that he ended and God or life began. Jesus, the man, and life were one. That's why he said, I in thee, thee in me, and we are one. I'm in life, life is in me, the man, Jesus, and we are one. And each of us must come to a place where we can say, I in thee. He suggested that we do this. He was always suggesting that we come to a place where we too can say, I in thee, and thee in me, and we are one. The Apostle Paul put it another way. The Apostle Paul said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Be ye transformed. In other words, your life will be different. Your life will be beautiful. Your life will have meaning when you change the way you think about and look at life. Whatever it is, it makes no difference. We must see it, we must perceive it correctly. We must see it, we must perceive it rightly. You know, we see little and big, small and great. We have these two ways of looking at life. But you see, there is, in what I'm saying to you is there is something in us when we acknowledge it, when we rise to the summit, when we get to that place within ourselves, within our own consciousness, where we see, where we perceive life as it truly is, when we see ourselves as beautiful beings, when we see life and everything in it as being beautiful, we're transformed. Something happens to us. Our life has more meaning. It becomes more rewarding. You know, and we see life too finitely rather than infinitely. I say very often, it takes no more energy, it takes no more energy to think about $1 million than it does to think about $1. And yet most of us spend our times thinking about $1. And what we don't know is that what we think about comes to pass as experiences in our lives. And so if it takes no more energy to think about $1 million than it takes to think about one, why not rise to the mountaintop of your mind and see life? Think about the million. Don't you understand? Think about $1 million. Don't think about one, $1.50. What we think about, what we concentrate on, what we contemplate tends to become experienced in our lives as things. You've heard the statement, haven't you, that thoughts are things? Has anyone ever heard that? Thoughts are things. Your thoughts become things in your life. So if you're busy thinking about $1, that's what you're going to experience. So why not rise higher in consciousness and see the beauty in thinking about $1 million? If you're thinking about whatever it is that is ailing you, you're going to experience more of the ailment. You can only experience what you give your attention to. If a tree fell, a giant sequoia fell in Sequoia National Park, if one is falling right now and we're sitting here, would we know that the tree fell? No, because we weren't there to experience it. If you don't know something is happening, you can't experience it. If you're not giving your attention to it, you can't experience it. If you're giving your attention to beauty, your own beauty, your self-beauty, the beauty that you are, that the I in thee and thee in me is, you cannot experience God's fears. I had an instructor when I was in the school of ministry whose name was Dr. Irvin Seal. And he lived in New York. He was from New York, and he'd come out here and he'd teach periodically. And so that was when Russia and America were playing games with each other with the Cold War. You know, every time somebody would say the buzzword, communism. And we'd be afraid and stuff. And we need some more weapons. We need some more cannons. We need some more bullets. We need some more planes. We need some more guns. We need to make some more nuclear bombs. Somebody just said communism. And so somebody asked Dr. Seal in class one night, said, Dr. Seal, said, you live in New York, said that's probably one of the prime targets. Said, suppose New York was attacked with nuclear bombs, what would you do? Dr. Seal said, I wouldn't be there. My consciousness would have me in Maui or somewhere. Because I don't think about nuclear bombs. I think about beauty. I think about peace. I think about harmony. I think about love. That is that which is in me and that which is in everybody. I think I shared a story with you. You see, we can't see the truth because we are blinded by man's false reports to us. We don't see the truth because we are blinded by, we allow ourselves to buy into man's false reports to us. I think I shared with you once before that I went down into Louisiana once where when I was a little boy I lived. And my mom, my mother and my father were down there teaching school down there. And I went back to visit. And it was back in what we call the country, the backwoods. And little green apples was hot in the firecracker. And my pockets were fat. And I had a great big rental car. And I'm riding down through these country roads going to visit some of the people that I knew when I was a boy. And then it had been raining. And this car was in front of me kicking mud up on the windshield. And I had to slow down to about 5 or 10 miles an hour, let the windows down, look out the window, and drive very slowly until I got to a house, to a place where I knew the people, and they gave me some water to wash the windshield off with, in order that I could see again. And what I'm saying is that the beauty of this countryside, of this rural community, the woods and the forests and the trees and the plants and the flowers, that beauty was always there, but I couldn't see it because there was this mud on the windshields between me and the beauty. And what I'm saying to you is that we've got to wash all of this, the mud in our lives. That's the fear that man has caused us to believe in. Do you know that people are petrified today? I mean, we're gripped in, we live lives filled with fear. We're afraid of each other. We're afraid of each other. I mean, we are afraid of one another. I passed by a house the other day in a very beautiful neighborhood. Looked like Lincoln Heights. There were so many bars around it. I thought it was, like a jail in a community. We're filled with fear. We're gripped with fear. We've got to begin somewhere climbing above this kind of thinking to the mountaintop of our souls, to the mountaintop of our minds, and begin to see life as it is intended to be seen. Beauty is already in us, but we must open ourselves, and it's in our minds and it's in our souls. That's why it pains us so when that's why it pains us so when we're not experiencing it. And that's what life is all about, rising to a place where we truly see life as a wonderful, glorious thing, where we cease, where we refuse to allow whatever it is that man's doing, make ready to live a joyous, beautiful, prosperous, meaningful life. We should never ever do that to ourselves. We're defeating the entire purpose, life's purpose, if we're not expressing ourselves as beauty and power and love. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "We live in division, in parts, in particles. Meanwhile, within man is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle of man is equally related to the eternal one." And what he's saying is that we see life fragmented. We see division. We see misery and fear and pain and anguish and a little bit of good and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Every day of our lives we're just back and forth, we're to and fro. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said, this is the way we see life, in parts, in division. When all the while, he says, meanwhile within us is the soul of the whole, is the soul of the one life. But it is we who must recognize it. The one life, the one God, the one mind, that Jesus said, I in thee, and thee in me, and we are one. He claimed his oneness with it, and so must we. You and I must claim our oneness with all that is good, all that is beautiful. We must see ourselves as beautiful people. There's a Cyrano de Bergerac in each and every one of us. There is a Cyrano de Bergerac in each and every single one of us. There is a Cyrano de Bergerac in each and every one of us. And each one of us must climb to the mountaintop and see life as it truly is, and see ourselves. Put yourself in the picture. Put yourself in the picture. Put yourself in the picture. See yourself in the picture. because we are all beautiful creations of the one life. Don't let man make you afraid to live life fully and to see yourself as you are. Don't allow man to do that. Don't allow man to do that to you. Don't allow man to do it. Be firm, stand your ground, and look out from within through the eyes of love and beauty. Let's say these words together, and let's say them with conviction. I now am able to follow the beauty of God in all things. I have faith in one action of love, of life, and of beauty that is in all and through all. God, life, spirit is never confused by the stupidity of man. God remains forever poised in his own self-knowing. And this is the rock of ages to which I can always turn when my own thinking has led me astray. I can never be alone nor forsaken by the truth. Beauty is forever, and as I return to it, it welcomes me and gives me all that it is, and so it is. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. Oh, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally.